Jacques Cartier. Jacques Cartier was a French navigator who was born on December 31st, 1491.
The first major voyage to North America. In 1534, he was sent by King Francis I to the eastern coast of North America to look for gold and other riches, spices, and a passage to Asia. He sailed on April 20th, 1534, with 2 ships and 6 men. He explored the west coast of Newfoundland and discovered PEI. He had also sailed through the Gulf of St. Lawrence, past Anticosti Island.
King Francis I was impressed by his first voyage, so he sent him back in May with 3 ships and 110 men. He and his men navigated St. Lawrence as far as Quebec and established a base. In September, he sailed downriver to what would become Montreal and was welcomed by Iroquois who controlled the area. The Iroquois said that there were other rivers that led farther west with gold, silver, copper, and spices that could be found. Before Cartier would go to west, the harsh winter blew in, and Rapids River impassable. So he awaited until spring, when River had no ice, and captured some of Iroquois' chiefs before returning to France.
In the May of 1541, he went with 5 ships and was sent to establish a permanent setting along the St. Lawrence River on behalf of France. He set up a camp near Quebec and found what they thought were gold and diamonds. In spring, not waiting for a colonist, and abandoned a base and sailed for France. Then stopped at Newfoundland, encountered the colonist leader, and ordered him back to Quebec. But he sneaked away and returned to France. The gold and diamonds were worthless. Cartier's career as a state-funded explorer came to an end, but he was credited with the exploration of the St. Lawrence region.
He explored the St. Lawrence River, and he is known for giving Canada its name. He also explored America, Brazil, Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, and sailed through the Gulf of St. Lawrence past Anticosti Island on April 20th, 1534. King Francis I sent Cartier to search for riches and a new route to Asia in 1534, but Cartier failed in the search of goods.
How the fur trade served the interests of both Europeans and First Nation peoples. The fur trade trapped beavers to satisfy European demands for felt hats. The trade opened the continent to explore and settle. When the wide-brimmed felt hats came into fashion, the demand for beaver pelts increased. The fur trade provided the First Nation peoples with European goods that helped them with improving their social status and wars.
Cartier and his men got scurvy from lack of vitamin C. They used needle and bark of the white cedar, which contained vitamin C. After years, the Europeans knew how to cure scurvy. Alliances and trades were beneficial to both Europeans and to the First Nations. The First Nations had medicines that saved lives of newcomers. The First Nations also knew waterways and travel routes.
how the cooperation between First Nations and early European explorers benefited both groups. The First Nations got animals like dogs, sheep, cows, horses, oxen, hens, and pigs. Some of these animals were used for farming, like pulling heavy wood, and some were used for food, like eggs, milk, or meat. The Europeans gave them tools, like pots and pans, spoons, knives, forks, and hatchets. This helped them cook, eat, and find their food. The First Nations traded beaver pelts. One big gun equals to 30 beaver pelts. They also traded fur from other animals, like wolves, foxes, bears, and frets. The Europeans got good animal parts from the First Nations to make warm clothes.
The Europeans witnessed how First Nations followed complex regions. The First Nations were cooperative people, welcomed the arrival of Europeans. For 180 years to 200 years, both of the First Nations and Europeans, they had a cooperative and collaborative relationship. The Europeans relied on the First Nations for various things, navigation, food retrieval, and etc. Also, the biggest form of cooperation was trading. The Europeans used First Nations for their own benefits.
What did they trade? The First Nations peoples acquired products of European technology such as cooking pots, metal tools, blankets, and clothing. Europeans traded goods such as metal pots, axe heads, knives, needles, and guns. Improved Indian lifestyle tools and weapons replaced those made of stone, pottery, and horn.
Jacques Cartier died in St. Malo in 5057. R.I.P. Jacques Cartier.
By Avneet
And Aria.